And good afternoon, everyone. My name is meteorologist Heather Kane. It's time for our daily hail forecast, sponsored as always by C3 Group, Maryland Law Group, American Contractor Show, as well as Atlas. Thank you guys, as always, for sponsoring our videos. So let's get right into our weather headlines. We do have a few areas that we're watching for the potential for severe weather today. One's going to be up in the northern plains, and then we have another area in the northeast. We'll talk about that. And then getting into tomorrow, we will have a chance for some severe weather in the Great Lakes region, so we'll talk about that as well. And then lastly, we're going to be checking in on Hurricane Fiona and see what she is up to. But before we get into our forecast, we do have a few events coming up. The first one is the OU versus Kent State tailgate, which is this Saturday, the 24th. The tailgate will begin at 3 p.m. and the game will begin at 7. So if you haven't gone to any of our home game at tailgates, they're a lot of fun. We have free food, free beer. We'll have the game playing as well. So come on by to our booth. It is right in front of the stadium. So again, come on by and say hi to us and have a good time. And then next we have the RCAT MRCA Roofing Conference at the Fort Worth Convention Center. This is going to be from the 27th through the 29th of September down in, again, Fort Worth. So if you're going to be at that show, come on by and say hi to Hail Trace there. Well, I know it's not exactly feeling like it out there, but we do have only 3 days left until the beginning of fall. So we'll be seeing the changing of the seasons, whether Mother Nature wants to go along with those temperature drops or not. So yeah, fall is 3 days away. So here are yesterday's storm reports. We did have some activity from parts of Iowa down into Missouri and Illinois, as well as some below severe limit gusts of wind in Michigan and right along the lower coast of Lake Erie. So let's zoom on in here. So we had some hail and wind again from the Iowa, Illinois, Missouri border here into central Illinois, and then again those scatter reports here in Michigan and Ohio that stayed below severe limits. And then we also had a few reports that actually happened this morning. We run on what we call Zulu or UTC time, so this is all prior to 7 a.m. So we had a few reports that happened earlier this morning here in North Dakota, and then just one lonely report here of wind in southwestern Montana. So here are our current conditions across the lower 48. We have one storm system here in the northeast that is bringing some heavier shower and some thunderstorms going on right now. Nothing is severe at this time, but that could change as we get into the afternoon hours. And then we have another disturbance here right into the low pressure is actually still in Canada, but the instability is getting down into parts of North Dakota. And then we have the remnants of a tropical system off the coast of California bringing some rain out there. So we're going to zoom right on into our first area that we'll be watching today. There was, again, some activity earlier this morning with some hail. This particular storm, it did have a warning with it It looks like it may have expired. I can't see with the cloud cover, but we do have some activity going on right there right now. And then in the northeast, again, a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity, some heavier thunderstorms in central New York at this time. And again, nothing is severe right now, but that could change as we get into later on in the afternoon with that heating of the day and that instability building up. So let's take it back out into the wide view, taking a look at our temperatures. You can see where all that warm air is right now. It's 89 in Kansas City, 91 in Dallas, so it's going to be another toasty one here in the central and southern plains. And you can see where that cold front is. It's 84 in New York, but cooler as you get behind it with temperatures in the 70s in the Great Lakes region. And taking a look at our dew points, very sticky out there from St. Louis with a 70-degree dew point down into Wichita, a little bit better, 63 for a dew point there, but then you get into the southern states where the dew points are getting a little bit more uncomfortable with dew points of 69 in Dallas and 75 down in New Orleans. So let's take a look at some future radars. Again, this is just one particular run of one particular model. We have some storms going on right now in North Dakota. As we get into the rest of this afternoon, this particular model's being pretty quiet. I know another model is showing storms later this evening and into the overnight, but this HRRR model, for the most part, is keeping it relatively tame. So we'll see which one will win out as we get into tonight and into tomorrow morning. So, but otherwise, there will be some showers here in parts of North Dakota. So there's that particular run there. And then let's go into the northeast. Again, storms are ongoing in parts of New York down into Pennsylvania, eastward into Vermont and New Hampshire. Those will continue to move off to the east. You can see those bands starting to form here in terms of this particular model. So that's going to be more of a wind threat here in the northeast. But you can see some singular cells here that could pose a threat for at least some marginally severe hail. As we get into later on in the evening, this is at 5 p.m. Central Time, so 6 p.m. Eastern, that line will start to enter parts of Connecticut into Massachusetts, as well as into Vermont, New Hampshire, and later on in the evening getting into Maine. And then that will start to move off the coast as we get into later on this evening and into the overnight hours. We could possibly see some more thunderstorm activity. Not severe though as we get into daybreak tomorrow morning. So here is today's hail forecast. We do have two areas. The first one is right here in the northern plains, Grand Forks. I think you have the best chance to see hail today. Again, we do have a few storms going on right now, and there may or may not, depending on what model wins out, there may or may not be another round of storms as we get into the overnight hours. So if they do happen, we could see up to $half size hail from central into eastern North Dakota and far northwestern Minnesota. So keep that in mind. We'll see which model wins. And then as we get into the northeast, this is going to be a very low chance to see hail anywhere from $1/4 to $half size. It's going to be, I think, mostly a wind event today. But if we do have some isolated storms that produce hail, it will again be $1/4 to $half size, and it's going to be very isolated in nature across this region. So Pittsburgh, I think your chances are going to be extremely low, but better chances from Rochester to Albany down to New York City, eastward to maybe as far east as Boston. And so let's take a look now at our wind. Basically the same two areas. The first one, again, Grand Forks, you have the best chance to see anywhere up to 60 mile per hour gusts with any storms that do develop. Again, it's going to, the models are split. Some are saying yes, some are saying no. So if they do happen, we could see up to 60 mile per hour gusts with those storms there. And then again, we could see some spotty 60 mile/hour gusts with that line of storms moving on through from Pittsburgh, Rochester, Albany down to New York City and eastward to Boston. Now moving into tomorrow, we do have the potential to see again some spotty storm activity from Wisconsin down into Michigan. So we'll wake up tomorrow morning and there could be a few storms in the Green Bay area, and then getting on into the afternoon, you can see a few scattered showers around, nothing too crazy. But then as we get into later on the evening, you can see some isolated storms trying to form here in western Michigan. And then later on in the evening, we could see some more activity in parts of central and northern Wisconsin. And then getting on into later on in the evening, you can see just it's going to be very isolated in nature. So we'll be keeping an eye on Wisconsin and into parts of western and central Michigan for tomorrow with those storms. And then they'll move off to the east into Canada as we wake up on Wednesday. So here is our forecast for tomorrow for hail. Again, it's going to be a very spotty in terms of coverage. So Green Bay down to Madison, Milwaukee, you guys have the best chances to see those storms that do form, and they can possibly bring up to $half size hail to you guys. Grand Rapids, Michigan, as well as down into Lansing, same deal for you guys. Up to $half size hail is possible for any storms that do develop. And then the same area could see up to 60 mile/hour gusts for any storms that do develop. So again, Milwaukee, Madison, Green Bay, eastward to Grand Rapids and Lansing, Michigan, 60 mile/hour gusts are possible there. So let's take a look at our jet stream. We do have this trough that is bringing those rain and storms to the northeast, and that will be moving off to the east as we get into later on in the day. And you can see another wiggle here in the jet stream that will be producing severe weather, maybe or maybe not, this evening into the overnight hours in North Dakota. And then getting into Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll continue to watch that trough moving off to the east. We could see some more stormy weather in the Great Lakes region for our Wednesday. And you can see the remnants of that tropical system that brought some activity to California and along the western coast. That's going to continue to move off to the north and finally merge with the main jet stream. And we have to watch this as we get into Thursday and into Friday to see if the northern plains will once again see some more stormy weather as we enter the end of our work week and into our weekend. And otherwise, it's going to be, I think, a little bit cooler. At least someone's seeing some fall-like weather, unlike us here in the south, where we will once again not just stay dry, but also very warm. So let's take a look at our forecast for Wednesday. Again, another chance to see some severe weather here in the Great Lakes region. So Michigan down to parts of Indiana, Ohio, eastward to Pennsylvania and New York. We will be watching you guys for the potential of severe weather on Wednesday. So that's still a few days out. So stay tuned for any updates in terms of hail and wind. So now we're going to be checking out on Hurricane Fiona. She did cause some hefty rain and wind damage to Puerto Rico, and now she is impacting the Dominican Republic with her, I guess fury. I don't know if that's really the right word, but yeah, she is crossing the Dominican Republic, and then she will enter the Atlantic once again as we get into the next day or so. So right now, again, she is a Category 1 hurricane. The winds are at 85 miles per hour. She is moving to the northwest at 8 miles per hour, so she's not moving too fast. So it's not only windy right now in the Dominican Republic, but it's also producing a lot of rain. So flooding is going to be a major factor there as well. As we get into tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern, She's expected to become a Category 2. And then as we get into our later on into the evening tomorrow and into Wednesday, she will start to track more northward and potentially become a major hurricane by Wednesday morning. And you can see as we get to Wednesday, even though she'll be a major hurricane, she is not going to be affecting any major areas in terms of land. She's going to be in the ocean, and then she will start to track more to the northeast as we get into Wednesday and then Thursday, and she will drift off to sea. So let's see if there's anything else besides Fiona to keep an eye on. Well, we do have one system that we will, or a potential system that we will be watching. Unfortunately, or fortunately, if you're not a fan of tropical systems, this one is only going to have a 20% chance to develop into something over the next 2 to 5 days. That's the first thing. And the second thing, this potential disturbance here is also in the Atlantic, and it's not going to really be affecting anyone. So it's going to be another fish storm. So that's all I have for you today. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, as well as our TikTok page, where we've been trying to create some fun content for you guys. And then if you have any questions, concerns, or if you just want to say hi, you can give us a call at 855-334-4245. You can email us at info@hilltrace.com and check out our website at www.hilltrace.com. And I am meteorologist Heather Kay. I hope you all have a great rest of your Monday.